So in this video, we're going to see how to index more than one value at a time in a series. And we're back here again in our interpreter at the looking at the colors block. We should be at the head of the block or index position 1. Yes, we are. So what if we want to skip two values forward? So in Rebol, we would do that with the skip function. So let's see how that looks. Colors colon skip colors 2. And then if we look at the index again, you'll see that we're now in index position 3. So we moved two values forward. If we want to go backwards, just use a negative index. And we are back to index position 1. So that's really all there is to skipping. You provide the function with your series and your index value. That's pretty much it. So if you think about it, the next and back functions that we saw in the previous videos were really just special cases of this. So we were skipping by one index or -1 for back. So that's all there is to that. So what if we skip too far forward? What if we say skip 100 and we only have the three values in our block here? So let's see what happens with that. So let's say we're going to skip 100. And it looks like it brought us to the tail. So let's check on that. And yes, it did. And that's index position, in this case it should be 4. So you'll see that we were at index position 1 or at the head of the series, and we said skip 100 values, and it just brought us to the tail because it couldn't go any further. So we're at the tail right now. What if we do the reverse of that? What if we skip 100 positions backwards from the tail, and it looks like that just brought us right to the head, which it did. And index position 1. So you have some protection there. You're not going to end up with some kind of out of bounds error like you might in other languages. It's going to bring you to the front or the back if your index count is too high. And also another special case of skipping around a series is head and tail, and we saw this before. So we can say colors colon, let's see, we're at the head right now. Let's go to the tail. And that's going to bring us to the tail. It just brings us right to the tail. And likewise, we can go back to the head. And there we are. So what do we have in our suite of functions right now for navigating a series? We have next and back. We have head and tail. And then we have the more generic skip, which gives us some control over, more granular control over how many series we're going to index each time, or how many values we're going to index each time. So why would you want to do this? Well, let's. What if you have a block with grouped values? So let's look at something a little less trivial here. We're going to have a block of product SKUs, and associated with each SKU we're going to have, say, an inventory quantity. So let's say SKU 1 has a quantity of 5, SKU 2 has a quantity of 9, SKU 3, we're out of SKU 3. So we got nothing in inventory on that. So there we've defined our block. We have 3 SKUs and associated inventory quantities. And let's say that we just want to print out a list of the SKUs. We don't care about the quantities. Well, if we just did a for each loop, it's going to iterate through each and every one and give us the SKU name and the quantity. But in this case, we're just interested in the SKU name. So let's do a while loop and try out our skip. So the while loop, as you recall, has 2 blocks, 2 argument blocks. One is the condition block and the other one is the body block. So our condition here is, again, we're gonna say not tail of SKUs. So we're going to keep looping. until we're at the tail. And then in each iteration of this loop, we just want to print that first value, which should be our product name, our SKU name. And then finally, we're going to want to, let's see, skip SKUs 2. And there we go. So it started at the head and it printed the first relative value, and then it skipped ahead by 2 values and then printed the next one. And keep in mind with this code now, we're sitting, our SKUs variable is sitting at the tail. That's where it ended. That's why it returned the while. So it did our printing here, and then it returned what looked like an empty block, but it's really it returned the tail of the series. So if we just say, are we at the tail of SKUs, then that's true. If we want to end that little one-liner of code back at the head, then we would just need to explicitly put it back to the head. So we're going to do our while loop, and then that while loop is going to return the tail of the series, and we just say go back to the head. And what happened there? Oh, yeah, what happened here was we were still at the tail. So, and that was, so let's, we started out at the tail. Yeah, because the while loop returned none because it was already sitting at the tail. So let's say, let's get back to the head of that. All right, and now we're going to run our while loop and return back to the head when we're done. So it printed out our list of SKUs. It skipped over the inventory quantities and brought us back to the head, as we can see here. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.